What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes
What's up? What's up?
and Chris Apicon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, today's Ask a CISSP, Friday's everything else, movies, books, games, and all that cool stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article comes from infosecuritymagazine.com, written by Alessandro Mascalino. And the title of this one, CISA reverses decision on cybersecurity advisory changes. This one was actually fairly quickly that it happened. So, a few days before they decided to reverse this decision, they had decided that their cybersecurity advisories that they had posted on their public-facing site, they were going to go away from that and they were going to do it more as a subscription-based, right? Well, I shouldn't say subscription-based as in paid subscription, but like you had to subscribe to their email to get the notifications and things of that nature, which kind of sucks, right? Because they did a pretty good job. I don't know if you ever look at what they provide of having like advisories and things like that out there for people, for the public, right? To get access to. So what they had started to decide was that, yeah, we'll make it subscription based. You have to go to the email, or on X, they were going to have the ones that were like currently ongoing or something like that. It was kind of weird how they were going to do it, but they got a lot of pushback on that. Like a lot of people were like, no, please don't do that. And so they, like I said, it was within a couple days of them making that initial decision that they were like, okay, we're going to hold off on this and change our strategy going forward. Right. Which I think is the way to do it. Right. As much as you can and as free as you can to get this information out there, it's the best thing to do. Right. Like for you to try to make it. And again, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to the email, but how much trash comes in right now to where people are actually paying attention to what's going into their inbox, right? Like if you're actually looking for it, maybe you'll pay a little bit more attention to it. But then as you look at it, like I've seen my wife's email to where I'm like, how do you have these thousands of emails just sitting here?
Does she do the thing where she leaves the bubble that lets you know how many emails she has?
What do you mean?
If mine is not blank, like on the app, like you know, like you look at your home screen and
Yeah,
you see
there's
the
no
email.
way.
If it's not blank, I'm upset.
Well, yeah, you can see the bubble. Like when she logs into her Mac and I look at it, I'm like, wow, that is a large number. Like, how do you do that? But and it's the thing, right? Like, so we don't care if each other is in each other's phone or whatever. I open it up in front of her. She opens it up in front of me. And I'm just looking at it. I'm like, yeah, cause I have multiple emails, right? So I have an email that I'm like, this is what, if I'm going to subscribe to something, I know I'm going to get trash. This is what
Right.
it is, right? But neither here nor there, right? Well, to get back on topic. Yeah. So like even subscribing to the email, like it may be one of those things that you miss when stuff comes out, right? So to put it on your public facing site for everyone to have access to, I think is the best way to go about doing this, right?
Absolutely.
Get that information out there for people, But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're spot on, right? The cybersecurity community said, "What's going on? We don't like the subscriber based system," and then having email alerts and social media alerts just doesn't work for cybersecurity companies or organizations who really like to rely on automation and ingesting data, right? So whenever, for example, like a lot of security teams, they rely on like RSS feeds, GitHub repositories, or some type of automated pipelines, right? Having a subscription or some type of subscription model kind of breaks that chain of communication. Like there's, let's just say, too much noise on like something like X or something, because like it's not hard. It's difficult to automate when you don't have, let's just say, like a link, right? Straight, like, hey, this is the website for the exploited vulnerabilities catalog, right? Because whenever something is published, organizations can use that website to automatically or really just automate their specific ingestion of their specific repositories, right? So that they can start working with known CVE, right, that was just published, etc., right? So then these firms can get on top of it. Specifically, probably like bigger firms, CrowdStrike, or all the big cybersecurity technology providers, right? Let's just say like those security teams are probably using those, and they will definitely need that. So standardizing it, creating like an email subscription version of it, very difficult to automate because there's just too much noise, right? The visibility could go away. Smaller teams that don't have 24/7 operations to just continuously monitor that, they can't be up all day, right? And then relying on social media, it's just like messes up with the parsing and automation of that, right? So luckily they've decided to pause this transition, or rather reassess their communication strategy. So my prediction is that they're just not going to move forward with this, or why not use both, right? So if they want to find a middle ground, hey, keep the vendor neutral website up and also publish on X. Why not? Right? There's no harm to increasing your communications to some degree, right? But really, what happens next? We'll watch it. I think security professionals are watching this closely, but I think a lot of people on our side are in agreement that they should just keep the regular website up.
And you know what I found weird in this? So like when I went back and forth between the two articles, right? That's how I knew it was only a couple days difference. Maybe even one day actually. I'm looking at it, 13th and 14th, I think. That's when it was reported. So like they mentioned in the first one when they made the announcement, they said it was stakeholder feedback that made them go in this direction, right? But then when they made it public to everybody, it was like, no, please don't do that. So now I'm like, okay, who do you need to have in the room when you're making these decisions, right? Like if you're ultimately on it, should you expand upon the audience you have whenever you're making these decisions? Because the stakeholders that told you to go in this direction initially, they obviously were not in the majority, right? Or the ones that really take advantage of what you provide. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah, for sure. But Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I was really surprised how quickly they moved because I saw it on X originally. I don't really post on X, but I do. I keep it available because of how quickly information spreads, both disinformation and factual information. But that's regardless how you feel about X. It's a dumpster fire. That's how I feel. But its ability to send you information quickly, like I always use the example when I lived in Virginia. I was sitting on my couch and then the couch moved, and I was like, that was weird. I was like, did I fall asleep? And then I opened up. I just so happened to have Twitter open for whatever reason, and there was an earthquake in New York. And as the minutes passed by, you saw people reporting from New York all the way down to Virginia. Like, did you feel that? Did you feel that? It's just how quickly that information moves through channels such as Twitter or X, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever I should say, whatever it's called, which are supposed to be, town halls or open sources of valid information. So I will probably always keep it until some rival comes out that does a better job. But this world we live in is probably the best we're going to get for for the foreseeable future. But I say all to say when I saw they're going to move to X and to email, I even me myself, I was like, well, I'm done with that, I guess. Because it's just not as open as just going to your website, like a front-facing portal that has all of this distinct information. I'm like, are you trying to save? Because in my mind, I was like, is this more government efficiency, or did somebody decide that we're just not good at updating our website, which they are phenomenal at updating it. Every time I go there, it has relevant information and what have you. I'm just like, what happened in the background to say, well, we don't want to do this anymore? Because it is a lot of work. Like, I get it. I have a website that we've had this website for 4 years, and I finally did something to it. Right. So it is a lot of work, but being a federal agency, you would think you'd just be able to hire somebody to do it for you, uh, whether it be in-house or not. Maybe perhaps it is a bill because they have to outsource it to someone, and it's just like, well, do we want to keep paying? But I'm glad that they decided to reverse their decision. I hope they continue to update their website, which is phenomenal, by the way. So if you need to hear from anybody, you heard from us, the other side of the firewall. And I even use it when I do assessments, right? Like if you do a NIST 853, you can cite it to a client to say, hey, if you want, indicators of compromise, right, IOCs, in real time, you should subscribe to this forum, right? I think that's IR-4, incident handling is usually what I tie it to. Does your cyber person have forums or portals or other sources of information, whether it be from the federal government or another other known credible sources, to say, hey, this is happening, like your Ivantis or your, I don't know, go way back, WannaCries and Log4js or Log4j or whatever you want to call it. Like all this stuff breaks on these websites first, and then you're able to quickly, right the ship prior to it coming down official channels. Like when I was in the DoD Log4j happened, right? Like we knew, or I'm sorry, SolarWinds, when Sunburst happened, right? We knew about it before we got direction to say, hey, fix it. And you couldn't fix it until you were given direction to fix it. to a certain extent. Like you could mitigate certain things, but you couldn't just shut it off because it was a system that needed to remain up. So you had to wait for the challenge to come through A6 or whomever to say, hey, here's your what is it?
Here's your
Notice to
orders.
airmen.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
NOTAMs.
Yeah, here's your NOTAM to fix this thing. Here are the STIGs that are associated with it.
So they would have the NOTAM, and then I think they made it a CTO. I think they made it a cyber tasking order to actually take action on it. So there was the notice to say this is out there, instructions to follow, right? And then it was here's your order type thing is how they did it. Yeah.
Yeah, because weirdly, because my last assignment, I was all over the place because they knew I was getting out. So they're like, hey, can you cover down this? Can you cover down that? Which I didn't mind, right? Give me a good breadth of leadership experience before I retired. But I was in charge of the cable dogs at the time. So I was as far away from SolarWinds as possible. So I brought it up during the meeting, like, hey, did you guys hear about this SolarWinds thing? And most did not, right? Because it didn't come down yet. But one did who was within the program, and he was like, yeah, but we can't do anything. So it's just the way it is.
I had an urge to bark, like when you said cable dogs. Let's go.
Yeah, cable dogs, man. That was my last. Yeah, my last job as a leader was working with the cable dogs. I loved it. Climbing in manholes and up poles. I went in the manhole. I did not go up a pole. I don't like heights, but I say all to say good for CISA for reversing course, taking that feedback, and then in this case, not doing action as opposed to right. Like it's easier to stop yourself from doing something before flipping the switch and having to circle back around. So good for them. Hopefully, like you said, their decision will be to not change course or to do something minimal. Right, like whatever is irking them, like just fix that thing as opposed to just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is kind of what they're about to do. So, definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays ask a CISSP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. Hit us up by the website that go by our name, the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW. You can hit up the websites, theothersideofthefirewall.com, as well as www.ramcyber.io. Give me a person. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. And where can I find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon, last name spelled A. Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.